Greetings and welcome back to the conversation on sex and temptation or sexual temptations with George Charisma. I hope that you got something from the previous conversation we had still in this direction. We're just continuing with the things that we have to do to be able to prevent sexual temptations. There are certain games you should really not get yourself into. And one of them, which is very, very notorious, practiced among young people, is what we call truth or dare. It is needless for me to explain how the game actually works because I'm not trying to encourage it. But if you know what I'm talking about, please stay away from those kind of risky experiments that put your purity on the line. Now, if you are not ready for marriage, don't get into a relationship. And if you do get into a relationship, have boundaries. This is one way to help yourself overcome sex and the temptations that are attributed or related to sex. What am I talking about? Many young people really just want to have the experience of being in love. They want to have somebody that they can spend and lavish pet names on, somebody that they can let out their hurt to, somebody they can discuss with, somebody that they can actually have time to chat with from time to time about what is going on in their lives. And because of that, even though they really do not have any intentions of settling down, of getting married, they get into these experiments and they become lab rats as far as sexual immorality is concerned. You don't have to do that. There is nothing wrong with being single and being by yourself. There is nothing shameful about protecting your purity or being a virgin. Even if the world is mocking you and telling you how outdated, outmodeled, out of fashion you are, please, there's never a time when purity will go out of fashion. So if you are someone who has been working so hard, committing yourself to protect and maintain your purity, kudos to you. You are on the right track. Another thing I want to go back and emphasize on is the kind of conversations you have or hold. The content of your conversations is very, very important. The things you discuss with people on phone. These days, a lot of evils take place thanks to the mobile phone, thanks to internet, thanks to data, mobile data. And because people don't get to see the things that you're doing behind the screen of your phone, under your duvet, behind closed doors, or in your closet, you feel that you have the license to explore all the shades of sexual desire. You shouldn't do that. You will hear about what we call sexting. It's a term that is associated with the mobile phone and with the internet. When you are chatting with a boy, when you are chatting with a girl, and at some point in time you have to exchange your nudes, you exchange yourself, either photos of yourself either half naked or completely naked, or you start speaking, you go raw and you start describing private parts and the sexual act and all that, you are involved in the bad habit of sexting, and you should stop because you are already on the highway to self-destruction. You should stop. You're already destroying yourself. And remember that the internet never forgets. If you put the message on view once mode and you decide to delete for all after sending a message or a picture, I want to let you know that the internet never forgets. Every single text, every single video, every single picture you ever sent on the internet is still available in a cloud. I guess those who do cloud computing will agree with me. So be careful about the way you live your life. Don't do anything you would not want to be remembered for. If there is something you're doing that you wouldn't want to be found out, then you are doing the wrong thing. You should stop at once. I will also recommend that you should avoid private meetings, especially with people of the opposite sex. Yes, Avoid private meetings, especially with people of the opposite sex, in closed rooms, behind a locked door. Those kind of meetings will only compromise your purity. And of course, I recommend that you should stay away from drugs and stay away from alcohol as much as you can. Because many people get into sexual sin because they drink and go out of control. They take drugs and they go high. And they are emboldened to do things that they would not really do if they were clad in their right mind. Most importantly, I also want to encourage you to censor your thoughts. And the kind of thoughts that prosper in your mind are a function of the kind of things that you feed on. The songs that you listen to or watch, the movies that you watch, the things that you read contribute in generating the kind of thoughts that will become your subject of reflection. The ideas, rather, that will become your subject of reflection. So you must be careful. Temptation is all over the place, but you have the power to resist and overcome it, and you should be responsible enough to not become a source of temptation to another person by the way you dress or by the way you conduct yourself or carry yourself. And there are places you should not go if you really are determined to live a sexually pure life. I'm talking about things like clubbing. Yes, I mentioned going to some kind of pool parties where you have orgies and so on and so forth. But you know, there are all kinds of clubs where people go. There are ladies who dance, swing on poles. You know, they disrupt, they take off their dresses, maybe not completely, and people pay them just watching them perform, partially clad, and all those kind of things. And most importantly, please make sure that you learn to make your own money, especially as a lady. You are very vulnerable to sex if you are not financially stable, especially as a young lady. You have needs that are staring at you in the eye, and then a handsome, wealthy young man pulls up with an exotic car and is requesting that you should get in the car. And you probably would not be able to resist if you are basically swimming in hardship and poverty. So my recommendation is that you should learn to be financially self-reliant, work hard, and make your own money. Beauty is not business capital, and your private part is not a workplace. I'm talking to the ladies especially, even though there are also men who are into prostitution. You need to keep your purity because you will need it as a foundation for a good marriage. As I come to the end of this encouragement, exhortation, I want to say that self-control is absolutely possible, is absolutely doable, but it will take God. It will take the enablement of the Holy Spirit for you to live a life of purity, come what may. I hope that you have gotten some value from this conversation, and I look forward to hearing from you. Please, you will need a mentor, somebody who can be a guide and a coach to succeed in this journey. Some battles do not just take hard work, they take teamwork. So